Hi, this is Mr Symonds, and here we are again talking about economics. In this video, we're going to be looking at monetary policy, and in particular, what is the purpose of monetary policy? In terms of thinking about monetary policy, it's really useful to think about who is responsible for monetary policy. So if we look at this slide and you follow this pen here, what we can see is that the Reserve Bank is responsible for Australia's monetary policy. This is a key thing to know in terms of the Australian economy. The other thing is that if we look at in determining monetary policy, the bank, and the bank here being, has a duty to maintain price stability, full employment, and the economic prosperity and welfare of the Australian people. So if we look at the purpose of monetary policy, that the kinds of things that we are looking at are these goals right here. If we think about the purpose of monetary policy, really we're focusing on these three things. First thing is price stability, which is all about low inflation and the stability of the Australian dollar. The other thing is all about full employment, so reducing the level of unemployment in the Australian economy. And the other goal of monetary policy is this idea of the economic prosperity and welfare of Australian people, which sounds very grand and important, which is all about sustainable economic growth and rising living standards. So if we're thinking about the purpose of monetary policy, these are the three key elements. Now, if we go into a little bit more detail here, the idea is that we can think about some particular targets about each of the monetary policy objectives. So for example, if we think about price stability, what we can say is that the goal here is that the CPI, the level of inflation, is kept to between 2 to 3% on average over the course of the business cycle. And we're going to look in future videos about what this actually means. The other thing is that if we think about this idea about full employment, the idea is that the RBA is working towards minimising the rate of unemployment towards the level of the NIRU, or the non-accelerating inflation rate of unemployment. Now, this is a confusing concept. You can click on the link at the top right about now, and you can go and understand what the NIRU is all about. So the NIRU is all about the level of unemployment where there are no cyclical unemployment, other types of unemployment. You should go to the video, have a look at it. But basically it's about 5% unemployment. So the RBA is looking at price stability, inflation 2 to 3%, full employment going towards the NIRU of 5%, and also sustainable economic growth. So here looking at growth of around 3 to 4% over the course of the business cycle. In terms of how this happens in the policy instrument, we're going to be looking at that domestic market operations, how the RBA makes changes to monetary policy. But for the moment, what I want you to do is think about the fact that the goals of monetary policy are 1, 2, and 3, and that in terms of the specific targets, that's from this column here. And all of this is adapted from Tim Riley's section in the Year 12 Economics textbook. What I want to do in this last part of the video is just focus a little bit more on this issue of price stability, because it really is probably the most important part of monetary policy. So the idea here is that the RBA has a target range, and us economists, we call it the target band for inflation. This is kind of like its goal for inflation. And the idea is that if the RBA has a goal, then consumers and businesses, all right, they know that inflation is going to sit in this level and they should always expect that. So the RBA's target is for inflation to average 2 to 3% over the course of the business cycle. So this 2 to 3% is the value of the CPI, and this 2 to 3% as well is the RBA's target band. Target band, RBA's goal for inflation. Just know that the target is flexible, that Sometimes inflation is below the target band. Sometimes inflation is above the target band. But either way, the RBA is thinking about what is the economy like? Is inflation too high? Is it too low? Should we just wait and see? But the overall goal that the economy should expect is that inflation will be between 2 to 3% over the course of the business cycle. After watching this video, that there is a specific to-do list for you. Number 1, subscribe to the channel. Click on my face, subscribe. Second thing, watch more videos, learn more about economics. Thanks for watching.